Got the win.
Night the backup catcher got the win.
Got the win.
Got sick outside of Wrigley from mixing beer and gin. The night the backup catcher got the win.
Happy John Baker Day, everybody. It's too bad the Cubs couldn't pull out the win, as it were, today. But Michael Cotton, light us up with a big old
John Baker.
No, we switched it. We switched it. Yeah, no, it's now called Buck O'Neill. It is Buck O'Neill Day.
That time crack hard on the O.
That time of night, maybe you need a little Buck O'Neill. Buck O'Neill love. There he is. Now you can do it.
It's really hard to make the switch from the K to the O and then go into a Neil. Yeah. Man.
Yeah, work on it because that's going to be next year.
I am not a professionally trained announcer, in case anybody just wondering.
Now you know. Welcome to John Baker Day. Right on the show right now, you got Michael Cotton, you got Crawley down the corner, you got Corey in the other corner with the Corey's colored
curled
Corey, and it's John Baker Day, everybody, and it's really fun to be here. Just because we're doing something, we're not doing what we normally do. Here on the night the backup catcher got the win, which is we throw a big party at Nisei Lounge or over at G-Man Tavern. We play rock and roll and we get shit-faced like I did on the original John Baker night, and we have a good time. And but one thing we are doing is we're raising money like we have in years past, and we've got a really amazing kind of cause this year. We're going to donate everything that we make with everything that we're trying to do this year to the Lost Boyz, which is a baseball team, and LaVonte Stewart, who is going to join us soon and talk to us all about the Lost Boyz, and we're going to hear from here later in the show. Corey, why don't you tell us who have we raised money for in the past, just so people kind of know what John Baker Day is all about, you know what I mean?
Sure. So I feel like it was the first couple of years we raised money for Cubs charities. We did that. We raised money for the Knoll family, a family of Cubs fans who were involved in a pretty serious car accident. Last year, we raised money for the Chicago area Battered Women's Network. Am I missing anyone?
Yeah, I thought of it tonight. We did Joe Madden's charity because he runs, like, I forget the name of it, but it's Hazelton Project, correct. And that's out in Pennsylvania, and they do great work with kids as well. And so this year, we're giving all the money to the Lost Boyz baseball team, but we're doing more than that because it's such a weird year. 2020, I mean, come on. For all of us, it's the most fucked up year that we've ever had. Like, you know, I guarantee there's not one of us here that's had a more fucked up year, but maybe, I hope not. And anyway, we decided that we're going to do more than that, and we're going to try to employ an entire anti-racism campaign, which we are launching this evening. And it was John Baker's kind of idea when I asked him what he wanted to do this year. He said, Black Lives Matter. And I said, absolutely, this is a good time in our society to try to create change. You know, upheaval is a great time to create change. And then we had a couple of meetings with us four, plus a couple other Cubs bloggers like Sarah Sanchez and Andy from Cup of Cubby Blue. And, we and a lot of other people got involved and have started to help and give us opinions and suggestions. Beth Round from Ivy Envy. We had some conversation. We came up with the idea of doing past, present, and future Black baseball in Chicago. And then that got the wheels turning with all the people we could have on, like Bob Kendrick from the Negro League Baseball Museum, who Crawley and I interviewed today. And we're going to have that out on Sunday. And we had that conversation with Bob and John. And then we're going to have a conversation with Doug Glanville, who you all know very well from being a marquee and NBC sports analyst over the last few years and a former Cubs player. And then we're also going to have Will Venable on to talk about the future, along with LaVonte Stewart, who runs the Lost Boys. So in other words, we're doing a lot this year that we didn't do in the past. It's not just a stupid drunken party, which, by the way, was a total disaster last year. We raised a lot of money, but we had a battered women's benefit, and there were like 3 fights at the party. Come on, guys. They lose guys punching each other, but still is unacceptable.
Danny, look how productive we are when our event does not involve going somewhere and getting drunk.
Yeah,
Right.
Just stay at home and get drunk. That's
Stay home and get drunk. It's just as fun. So anyway, we're doing all that stuff, and a lot of people are pitching in, and we're gonna ask you out there in TV land to pitch in too, even if it's just by sharing these posts, by sharing what we're doing. That you can. There's a bunch of ways you can join. There's just search John Baker Day on Facebook. There's like 3 pages that you can join. There's an events that going on. And you can also get in contact with us through the Sun Ranto podcast and IVNV. So, but first, Corey and I, we interviewed John Baker last week?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
At some point.
Yep.
So, we thought we'd play some of that interview tonight, and we're going to be popping in and out of some recorded video as we talk about what we're doing with our anti-racism campaign. And also later on the show, we're going to have Joe from Obvious Shirts. Bleacher Jeff's going to stop by. LaVonte's going to be here, and there's the Bleacher Bum Band premiere of the brand new punk rock version of the Ballad of John Baker. So why don't we give this listen to John Baker talking about the game and enjoy this.
Well, that game came at the end of my baseball career, my professional career. It was my last year in the major leagues. And I think that it's important to kind of set the context of where we were as a team when that was going down. We were in the process of rebuilding, but we were on the way. We were on the upswing. That was the year where Jake Arrieta became Jake Arrieta. Anthony Rizzo became a superstar. Javi Baez made his major league debut. We got to see Chris Bryant in spring training, and then Chris Bryant went out and just completely dominated the minor leagues that season. You saw the arrival or the kind of emergence of Pedro Strop, who's unfortunately on the Reds now. But everything started to come together. A young group of people, the right people around, and the team started winning by the end of the year. And I believe our game against the Rockies was like the battle for not last place. Sorry. And that
Mitchell Station.
Yeah. Vibrate over there. No, sorry. that night, for a lot of reasons, was particularly cool looking back on it now, and not just my part. I mean, I think first of all, and we'll get to this later, but Edwin Jackson started that game for us, and I don't know how many people know, but he's one of the most beloved people in baseball. Everybody's favorite teammate, a guy who, after the murder of George Floyd, was literally video of him marching in the streets of Phoenix. Edwin's made a lot of money playing baseball, and he doesn't have to leave the house that he's earned, but he's the kind of guy that does that. I think that speaks to the power of what happened during that day. And so we played a game against the Rockies. We went into the 16th inning, and as the game was going on, they had asked me about the 10th or the 11th. Hector Rondon was the closer. He was unavailable. No matter what, they were going to use him. They weren't going to use him. So we used everybody in the bullpen but Rondon. And as the most expendable person, like if I got hurt, it didn't necessarily matter. We could have called up Rafael Lopez or somebody who would have taken my place fine and been the backup. I was slated to pitch when we ran out of pitchers, and I kind of knew 3 or 4 innings before I ended up going in the game that it was going to happen. But, you never expect that to actually happen. You think that, Rizzo will hit a home run or something's going to happen. Someone hit a ball in the gap, somebody will score. But, man, we were having trouble swinging the bats. And I warmed up in the bottom of the 15th, and Lester Strode, our former bullpen coach, told me that I should take my thumb and put it on the side of the ball because I could get a lot of run. And I think the Brooks Baseball, when I ended up pitching, said that I had like the biggest moving fastball, but part of that has to do with gravity, I'm sure.
It's all the new pitch. You basically invented Pitch Lab, is what you're saying to us right now. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I understand science so well, Danny, that that I knew the pitch data before I was letting it go. That it would say, it would say, the TrackMan would tell me the horizontal movement was so gargantuan that no one's gonna be able to hit the ball hard. But honestly, what I did is I went out on the field, and this is the way that I've always explained it. There are two things happen. I walked out on that. Well, three things really. I walked out on the field and I realized how close the hitter was, and that was scary as hell. You know, like I'm used to wearing catcher's gear, so when you're in a mask, man, talk about masks. When you're in a mask, you feel pretty fearless catching. You know, I took plenty of foul balls off the head. It probably explains something. But when you're pitching, you don't have anything. Like I would have killed for one of those. You know, they were making those like giant helmets that guys were pitching in for a while. Like I would have for sure worn that if we had one. But that freaked me out. And then the second thing I thought about was like, and if you ever hit 190, 192 in the major leagues, one thing you learn from that experience is that hitting is super hard. So, and if you go to a Cubs game, or unfortunately, if you have to go to a White Sox game, you'll watch batting practice, whenever gates open back up again in the future, you'll realize that like guys are throwing 50 miles an hour in batting practice, and like the best guys in the world are like popping it up into the cage, like hitting grounders. And I've seen a lot of great major league hitters, from Mike Piazza to Frank Thomas to Barry Bonds, take batting practice. And I've seen him take bad batting practice, but then blame the pitcher. And so I thought when I was on the mound, the final part of this, I thought, well, if I just throw horrible BP on the field right now to major leaguers, like they're not going to get any hits. And if I throw it up and in every time, which was my goal the whole time, if I just throw it up and in, if they do hit it, it's going to be so slow that they're going to yank it foul, or they're going to hit it on the ground pull side. And if I give up a home run, I give up a home run. I don't care. And you know, usually in baseball, when you're on the field, you're doing something that you practiced a lot. So it feels like second nature. So there's not as much thinking as one would think. You know, it's like, you know, you just stand out there in the field and somebody hits you the ball and you just catch it because you caught 6,000 of those things before. But this was like they took a fan out of the stands and put him in a different place and said, hey, go do this one thing. You have a decent arm, you know, go throw on the field. Fine. So standing out there in Wrigley Field and thinking like Ferguson Jenkins was on this mound. You know, I often thought that when I was hitting too. You know, I'm like, oh look, this is where it still gets me every once in a while when I'm shagging BP or something, or I'm coming in, or go stand at home plate at Wrigley and go like, oh, you remember this spot right here when like Babe Ruth stood over here and he pointed to left center field and called his shot? Or you think about home runs that Sammy Sosa hit, or Glenn Allen Hill hitting the ball on the rooftops, Dave Kingman. Like there's so much history at Wrigley that in moments like that, when you feel like you're out of place, you're really just like in this weird flow of history at Wrigley Field. And this was the 100th anniversary of Wrigley Field. So all of it was super crazy. The inning pitching wise went by super quick. One pop up, another pop up, but Wellington Castillo, the catcher, was so tired he didn't even run after it, just fell behind him like 15 feet. So I blame that. I blame his lack of energy. I don't know where it went on Drew Stubbs walking, and then
it really killed your whip.
Yeah, it did. That's an overrated stat anyway. We have far more advanced ones now. So Christian Adames, and what I believe was his major league debut, he walked into. He got to be a part of history. Grounded into a double play. We turned the double play. Came up to bat to lead off the inning. Everyone knows you never walk the pitcher, and you never walk the pitcher to lead off an inning. That's terrible. Lead off walks will haunt you. They remind you of that on the scoreboard in Cincinnati every time I go to the game there. And so what a lot of people don't know is that when I was batting, I hit a ground ball foul and actually broke my bat. I didn't know. So not only was I struggling to hit, but I was up there with a broken bat and I still walked, which should tell everybody that anything's possible. So I got on base, moved to third on a base hit, I think, by Rizzo. And then Starlin Castro hit a sac fly. We scored the run. We had prearranged to do no celebration on the field. Now, usually when they walk off, everyone jumps up and down, but it's actually my idea in the dugout in like the 11th inning. I'm like, when we win this game, let's just run straight into the locker room. Let's get out of here. And so if you watch, that's what we did. I come in, slide, I fist pump, and then I sprint straight in, and we go in, and then we got in, and it was like we won the World Series. It was the old locker room in Wrigley. We had a really tough season, but things were kind of moving in the right direction. I got carried through that locker room. I got everything imaginable from shampoo to beer to a gallon of milk poured on my head in the shower. I felt like I couldn't breathe a couple times. But man, we had just an amazing time celebrating together. You know, something so crazy, something so weird.
That's it. That's the end of that video where I cut it. I'll bring us all back on screen. If you think about that year, 2014. I mean, I'd be sitting there with like 12,000 other people and just having a great time. And that was I went to that game with Gary and a couple other friends of mine. And, we showed up hammered to that. I mean, about
tickets were like $1.25, right?
I don't even think I paid. I really did.
For those of you that don't remember, 2014 at CubsCon, they kind of revealed what the theme was going to be, which was the party of the century. It was the 100-year anniversary of Wrigley Field, and
nobody showed up for it.
There, you know what? There was
one game they came to that they blew with all the legends.
Yeah, there was actually a lot of cool things going on that year. That was like, for me, like the marketing department was just on fire. They had retro jerseys every weekend. They had 10 bobbleheads. They had toys from every decade. Like if you're like
they had the decade dogs, right?
Decade dogs.
Danny, you did a story about the different, like the microwave hot dogs and the different weird things they were doing.
They had a TV dinner hot dog, I remember, that had mashed potatoes, gravy, and corn. Apparently, the marketing department wasn't in on the same people that were doing the jerseys weren't doing the hot dogs.
But it was a
can of corn, too literal.
As John said, that was really the year that you started to see guys debut, guys starting to click together. And it really built that buzz that led to 2015 and the signing of John Lester and the hiring of Joe Madden to kind of complete what we're going to know to be the World Series champions. But yeah, it was 2010 to 2013 was just pure misery as a Cub fan, It
was, but you're right, Crawley, because this 2014 season, we, on the IVMV podcast, we were barely talking about the Cubs in 2013 and 2014 because those pieces, the players, the Cubs that we know right now, they were in the minor leagues. And that's where I think a lot of Cubs fans, that's where the attention was. And we weren't really so worried about what was happening, with the big league club in 2013 and 2014. We were looking ahead. And I think that there were a couple of things that happened in that 2014 season that kind of started to change the tone of things, like some of those call ups and just some of the different, that was the year that Rizzo took on the Reds bull dugout, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Corey, there was a little bit of a change in my life from your podcast leading us into Javi Baez. You said you were looking toward the future. Maybe a week and a half later, Javi Baez made his debut in Colorado. Mm-hmm. So I was at that game, and through the IVMV podcast, I met up with Danny, and then we stole your stick.
And now here we are at John Baker Day. But slightly before I met you, I was in the ballpark on that fateful evening that John Baker pitched in the 16th inning, ended up getting the win. So I thought I did record my story, and I'll put it out here. And if it needs adding to, I don't know. Well, you said that they might as it was kind of felt like taking a fan out of the stands, that night. Well, luckily it wasn't me that they took out of the stands because I was there that night, and I think I made it through about 12 innings before I went outside. I'm a former smoker, and I went outside for a cigarette out of the Captain Morgan's club, and at midnight they shut it down unbeknownst to me, and I could not get back into the ballpark after midnight. So I believe that game ended around 2 a.m. So I missed maybe the last 4 innings, 5 innings, something like that. And this pretty much sums up. I went to every entrance of Wrigley trying to get back in, and they wouldn't let me for a few reasons. A, I'd been drinking pretty much for 5 hours straight. And so if you can imagine, this photograph pretty much sums up. If you remember the old Billy Cub, he got a cease and desist order shortly after this photo was taken. And that's me outside of Wrigley that night. And then, here's me shut out of Captain Morgan's that evening. I did take a picture of me not getting in, and here's one of the gentlemen that would not let me back in the ballpark. And as you can tell by the look on my face, maybe you wouldn't let me into your ballpark either. So anyway, I woke up the next morning and just had this idea in my head. I had a bit of a hangover. I was going to get on a plane later in the day because you guys were heading off to Los Angeles, I believe, right after this. And you went to LA, and then you went to Colorado, where Javi made his debut just maybe a week after this, early August.
Yeah.
And so I was heading off to Los Angeles to see some friends, catch a couple Cubs games out there as well. Woke up, grabbed my guitar, E minor, night the backup catcher got the win. Started singing this song because I thought, I looked it up. Oh, has this ever happened before? Couldn't find that it had. I'm like, that's really fun. So I wrote a song, not necessarily about you, but about me getting kicked out of Wrigley and not being able to get back into the ballpark because I was too drunk. Well, I hope you guys were able to hear that. I don't know if you all were able to hear that. I know Corey couldn't, but out there in TV land. So yeah, I woke up, wrote a song about on pitching in that game, but really the song was about me getting totally shit-faced and not being able to watch the game inside the stadium. I watched it over at the dugout, and I became a couple of his brother found a song somehow on YouTube or on Bleed Cubby Blue where I used to write. And anyway, we became friends, decided to throw a party together, which with Corey, we had that experience at Cubs convention. We were like, hey, what if we threw on July 29th? It's a Saturday. Cubs are in town and playing. We're like, hey, this will be fun. We're like, hey, let's find a charity. Let's do Cubs. Very organically, to the point where we ended up with trying to bring on sorry, it's not working, but trying to bring on pictures of that night. But no, we had a blast I had a blast that night, and I've had a blast at every John Baker Day since. So now, where were you guys that evening?
Watching the game on TV.
Yeah, I had actually. Yeah, you're getting a little choppy there, Danny, but we heard the question. I was actually in Colorado, and the game obviously was going very late, and I turned the game off. But when I went to bed, I just thought I'd check Twitter just to see what was happening, and I ended up staying up to the end of the game, basically living the game through Twitter, because for some reason, even though the Cubs weren't any good that year, that night caught people's attention literally right then. And they were talking about it on Twitter the whole time. I lived the game through Twitter and was absolutely amazed that anybody, much less a ton of people, were up watching this thing.
So I remembered also clearly that, when you said, I'm going to put this event together, it's going to be great. Anytime Danny says, I'm going to put it together, I don't care if it's 2 people or 200 people, I'm going to show up. And it was really like, a time where we all kind of really got to met and hang with each other for a long period of time. I know that Corey's been doing the IVNV thing and Danny's had his thing and I've had everyone's kind of had their own thing, but this was kind of like an interesting experience. And there's this picture right here. The first John Baker Day we held at Nisei Lounge, which, was right here. And it was really cool. Danny performed the song, and Will is John Baker's brother, Will Baker, a talented trombonist. And he added a lot of funk to the song, and John's right here and Danny's here. We had a blast at Nisei, and it was weird because we all got to know each other. We just got shit-faced together and had a lot of fun. And then the Cubs crushed it that day. And this was Cubs versus Seattle. This is 2016, right?
Yeah, look at all those crooked numbers up on the board.
Cubs versus Seattle. There was a massive rain delay. If you look at the picture, Danny and Nicole are right here. That's Lauren Blonde Wonk. You can see Pincus right here. There's me right here. Is that Evan Altman? I can't tell.
Yeah, Evan's over there. Brett Taylor. Brett Taylor, the famous Matt Kammerer, who actually, since this day, has tattooed John Baker down in St. Louis. So, yeah, I mean, this was the first one, and we just had a great time. Such a great time that we did it 5 more times. 4 more times. But and today being the 4th, so I wanted to bring on it. I see him sitting there in the green room. First, it's who should I bring on first? I think I'll bring on Joe real quick. Joe, everybody, this is Joe from Obvious Shirts. You all probably are wearing his shirt right now because you're a Cubs fan. And what are you wearing? The 2020 Sucks Obvious shirt this evening?
Yeah. Yep. I'm really superstitious, so I had on a Cubs shirt, obviously, for the game. And I started with a suit to pay homage to Len and JD, who have to wear suits. It was funny in my head. It wasn't really that funny, but I wore a suit for the first 6 innings. I took the suit off, and the Cubs put up a 5 spot, and so I was amped. And then we all know what happened after that. So, yeah, I thought I would change it up. That's kind of weird?
So
I'm kind of weird.
Well, no. So how many times do you usually change clothes per game?
That's actually I'm not going to get into the story, but usually I put one shirt on for the game, but I have been known to change outfits during Cubs games.
So, you have made the official John Baker Day Obvious shirt this year, and this is going to launch our anti-racist campaign in an obvious way, because there it is.
Bam.
Anti-racist. Boom.
Beautiful.
Are you pro-racist or are you anti-racist? It's your choice. So you can buy this shirt at obviousshirts.com, which I've got the little scroll going down there. And one thing that was a surprise to me today, Joe, was when you put the John Baker Day patch on the sleeve. Awesome touch. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah, the dots had to connect. I'm sorry I cut you off, but it had to be John Baker. I've seen that design now for 6 years. It's an awesome design. It's known. It had to be on the shirt, so I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah, shout out to Kurt from Ivy Envy for making that design.
Yeah, shout out.
And so we're putting that actually on a face mask as well. The John Baker Day face mask, which I ordered 2 of today, a small and a large. And I also ordered 2 of these, a medium and a large. And I'm really excited that it's not an XL or a double XL like I used to be. So, but Joe, thank you for working with us on this. And I know you've done a lot of work with the Cubs. I mean, is this like did you ever think that you'd make like 10 years ago, you're like, oh, what I'll probably end up doing is putting words on shirts and then all the Cubs are going to wear them. Did you think that was going to happen?
Absolutely. 10 years ago, I want to play shortstop for the Cubs, but that didn't pan out. So this is honestly the next best thing.
Joe, the last time we got to hang out was in spring training in Mesa, and it just feels like a lifetime ago. Did you ever in your mind when we were out there watching spring training games, did you ever picture 2020 ending up like this, the baseball season and life just in general?
No, man. I don't think any of us could be here today and say we saw this or we could have envisioned what this would be like. This is new for everybody. This is going to go down in history books forever. Like, it's been a weird year, man. It's been, I'm a small business, so many thousands, millions of people have been affected by this. But yeah, I just kind of wake up with the mentality of you got to get it done and you got to be creative. And I'm very fortunate. But yeah, to answer your question, that does feel like a lifetime ago. Holy crap, that feels like so long ago. But yeah, man, this has been a really depressing year. So hence the shirt.
Well, we're going to do something about it, and we're going to buy this shirt instead, and we're going to go out to Wrigley Field and proudly be against racists. And I like it because it's got a kind of a punch a Nazi vibe, which because we all should be anti-racist, and we're going to work on that. But before we do, I thought we'd have a little fun tonight. Tonight on Twitter, I asked the Twitterverse for some ideas of failed or rejected obvious shirts slogans. So I got a few. Maybe it'll spark some ideas. Here's the first one. Pursuit of penis. Pursuit of happiness. What do you think? Do you think that would get past the
I think that's that's an A+ on wordplay. I'm really big into wordplay, so that's an A++ on wordplay. It would definitely get rejected, but I think it's fantastic. It's a fantastic idea.
Okay, now we got another one here. How about this one? Rob Manfred loves baseball. That's kind of a twist.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna. I guess I don't know how to say it and be politically correct, but yeah, that would be a rejected obvious shirt for sure.
Yeah,
you just left off two ruin. You just left out those two words, and
yeah, I don't even want to go there. Really, it would not be good. Nothing positive comes from that, so I'm just gonna avoid it. I'm gonna avoid that altogether.
Yeah. How about this one? I like this one. Our bull penis solid.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that's like something I might say.
Yeah.
What do you think? Can you get the bull penis shirt going?
Yeah, absolutely not. Not a chance that becomes a shirt, 0%. But again, the wordplay and the sexual innuendos people seem to like, so I got to give it a good grade for the creativity.
And after tonight, another bullpen disaster. Matt the Will Wybe says, "Screw that bullpen." Simple and obvious.
Yeah. Real quick, like I try to keep it. I try to keep a positive vibe, and I know, like, I play baseball competitively. I'm a huge baseball fan. It's the best sport on the planet. I feel all the frustrations that people feel, but yeah, I just, again, I'm just being honest, and then people will probably say he's up here being just politically correct, but I just don't want to go the negative for my ball club. I'll keep that to like my verbal tweets when I'm frustrated. But nobody wants to buy things about I don't know. I mean, this team makes me drink. I owned that shirt when I was in my early 20s. That was a great shirt. It's got to be all the ingredients have to really be there for it to be good.
Yeah, and one of the ingredients, even if the slogan was negative, which they usually are not, or they never are, is that they are actually quite comfortable. That's a hell of a comfy shirt. Here's another rejected one, though. I'll give you this one, and I do enjoy this one. The not so greatest game ever played happened on October 14th, 2003 in Chicago. Now, since we won, do you think we could get that one done? It's not super negative. It's just more like making fun of a long time ago.
See, that's the sandbox that I love to play in because that's a little lighthearted. It's catchy, clever. I think I liked that tweet. It might be the only like. So yeah, I'm all about that one. And I remember that night vividly as I'm sure you three do. So I would say that's got a really good chance.
So Jay Flanagan might have designed an obvious shirt tonight. That's exciting. The last one comes from Facebook. I know I'm breaking up. I think I'm having internet issues right now. My cat is streaming cat porn right now, so it's really awkward. But I don't think anybody could hear me. All right, the last one is here from my childhood friend Chris Zaha on Facebook. Says Grand Slam, not just a Denny's dish.
I love the Grand Slam. I love both Grand Slams. I would still get some Grand Slam at Denny's. Who wouldn't? Yeah, I would need Denny's permission, so that's probably going to be a no. Because if I don't get the permission, that would be more money than the shirt would probably sell.
Hey, Joe, I got to ask, what are you drinking there?
Oh, funny you should ask. Some Club 400 Ballpark Lager.
Oh, that is a beer that's good for all 9 innings.
It really is, and it's even good for 16.
Yeah, it's a good beer to have, and our friends over at Crystal Break. I think Danny's freezing up again, but yeah, our friends at Crystal Lake Brewery and Club 400. Stuart McVicker, and all those guys, it's just, I think it's just fun how we all kind of just interweave each other's world and just enjoy each other's company and just the love of the Cubs that brings everybody together.
Yeah, man, that's why baseball is beautiful. Like baseball brings everybody together. It's usually played when the weather's nice and you can be outdoors with your buds drinking a beer, and there's nothing better. There's just nothing better than baseball with your friends. And we became friends so quick because we all liked the same thing.
Got that right.
So we're gonna I hope everybody can hear me, because I think I keep freezing up. I'm trying to change my internet, but Joe, I want to thank you for all your hard work on the John Baker Day official 2020 shirt. I love what you do. It's so simple and beautiful and clean and comfortable. And, it's just nice to have you in the Cubs family, and just really appreciate you 100%, man.
That means a lot, dude. And I'm happy to do it. That's what this is all about. I tell people I'm a fan first, and I happen to be a businessman second. So doing stuff like this is what I'm all about. And I appreciate you guys having me on, and keep doing what you guys are doing. You guys are all crushing, and it's good when everybody succeeds.
And everybody should go and buy this shirt and this face mask right now at obviousshirts.com and get it done. And I know that you're going to give the proceeds to our friends at Lost Boys, who are our beneficiaries. And we're going to say goodbye to you, Joe, and pretty soon we're going to bring on LaVonte. But I think the next thing I'd like to show is John Baker kind of talking about some of the mental skills and what he does with the Cubs. So I got a little video clip I'd like to show everybody. Now. Oh, and now you're back with the team. You've got a more expanded role. You're the mental skills coordinator for the group. Do you want to kind of explain what that is? You're also an umpire.
An umpire, yeah. So I do anything that they ask. Generally, I just say yes. The other day our bullpen catcher had to get a root canal, so I was bullpen catcher in one of our games.
No, we can hear you.
No, I get to. I'm almost finished with the graduate program in performance psychology. So basically, a big part of my job is I take things that are empirically researched and supported, and then I translate them into baseball language, and I convince really stubborn people, baseball players, a lot of times just where they already do the thing, and kind of point it out to them so we can help them realize why they're good. But I answer questions, I listen to complaints, I spend time with our guys. I kind of work with everybody in that entire place. It might be we need to get somebody in the weight room and they're resistant because they don't want to do something, and so that's a conversation I may have. But yeah, mental skills is an interesting thing. I think it's really low hanging fruit in a lot of ways. If you look at what the research suggests, that 50% of performance fluctuations at the elite level when competition is equal are psychological in nature, but we don't have a lot of time to practice those things. And so I'm trying to change the narrative about that kind of stuff, and really because there's a lot of great stuff out there, take it, translate it into baseball, and then give it to these guys who I really care about, because most of them on our team I've known since before they were stars. Like I can remember, I always think about I played in the Dominican Republic with Anthony Rizzo when he was a farmhand for the San Diego Padres, and then I got to play with him again in 2014 when he was an emerging star, and now I get to spend time with him, and we talk about how he went from that idiot child that I met, like baby Huey hitting homers, to a guy that I kind of feel like, wouldn't it be nice to see him wear a captaincy on his chest? Coming back from the ankle injury last year, the things that he's done from the organization as a player, the things that he does in the community. It's just really cool for me to see him grow up. And I've been at different stages of his career. I was there the day, like you said, the day that Javi Baez got to the big leagues, when he was a little bit fatter and had less tattoos, but he was always special. And seeing him mature into the kind of team leader also that he is now, and spending time with Wilson Contreras in the minor leagues before he got called up, and seeing what he's become, a guy I'll never forget being able to hug him on the field during the World Series when he was starting. I think it was Game 4 of the World Series. We got to go out on the field. They announced all the player development staff and stuff, and I got to hug Wilson before he started a World Series game. And we had spent quite a few of my visits in 2016 were specifically to go spend time with him. So So many of these guys, Kyle Hendricks, who's our opening day starter, I caught his major league debut. And I get to see these people mature and become superstars, and I get to support them with the stuff that I'm learning about. I mean, it's really is a dream job for me.
Hey, I think we're back.
Yeah, I think we're back too.
Some of us are.
I don't know. Yeah, it cut off crazily. I'm not even sure what happened, but either way, let's bring on LaVonte Stewart from Lost Boys right now, and hopefully he can hear us. Can you hear us, LaVonte Stewart?
Yes, sir, I can, guys. How you doing?
And we're going to bring on. I'm doing great, LaVonte, and I just kind of want to introduce everybody to you. You are. Well, you're the man with the plan down on the South Side, and you're doing a lot of great work with kids that are at risk. And, I'm so proud that we can use our efforts and our voices to kind of help you achieve your mission, because it's the same mission as ours, which is to be fans of baseball and make the world better, as simply as I can put it. So anyway, welcome to the show. And I know, Corey, you couldn't hear the last little bit about John and mental skills, but I know that we had a conversation over text about, and LaVonte, you probably want to speak on this too, the concept of why the Cubs are succeeding right now because of somebody like John Baker, who can get people kind of over the hump in this really strange year and situation that everybody's going through.
Yeah, when you think about like what these Cubs players are experiencing on and off the field right now, and the impact that COVID is having on these guys, like them playing, but then also their lives outside of baseball. And we know that baseball players are creatures of routine, and their lives are anything but routine right now. So I think that like the good start that we've seen the Cubs get off to, let's look past tonight, but the good start that they've gotten off to is probably because of John's doing. And I think that if the Cubs experience success in this weird short season, I think John played a role in that. And I think it's possible that John is probably having a bigger impact on the team now than he did as a player. But LaVonte, in our conversation with you, I know that the mental skill side of things and just like the whole, I don't even know how to put it, but just like the whole like package of us as people and our emotions and our thought processes and everything, like that's something that you also spend a lot of time on with your players. And I think that's tremendous for them to get that experience at a younger age. I wish that I had someone imparting that wisdom to me when I was at that age.
Yeah, definitely. Crawley, what's up, man? So,
how are you, LaVonte?
I'm good, brother. Yeah, I'm sitting there thinking about it. I got staff texting me that knocking my phone down. I'm gonna respond to that, Corey. I'm just still drifting on clouds from earlier today, and I'll tell you what I'm thinking on that. But Coach Baker is the expert, first of all. Clearly, the man is educated in that sector, right? In that area of academia. I'm more self-taught. I've just leveraged other areas of academia and just experiencing in my own research in it. But Corey, man, you said it right? Baseball players, we are creatures of habit. It doesn't matter if we're pro, if we're collegiate, high school, little league, if we're a bum or if we're all-star, we all begin to try to have these things of routine that permeates other areas or spills over into other areas of life. And so one of the things I noticed about particular pockets of children that we serve, because we kind of get all kind of kids. My community is amazing. South Shore, for those that don't know, it's a salad bowl, man. It's mixed. It's a little bit of everything here. This is this is you have your upper class blacks, you have lower class, right? Just using the standard words here. And we have Black, we have Hispanic, we have Jewish people who were there before Black people moved into South Shore. So it's a really weird mix because you could go up one block and there are mansions and a couple of Chicago Bears and Jesse Jackson lives right there. And then you could go over just a mile and you might be in a place where a mass shooting just occurred the other night, you know, and 4 people got killed, you know, in a single shooting. So it's a really weird community. So you get all kind of kids. We get kids that are in the Catholic school system. We get kids, you know, who are in the high performing public schools. We get kids who are in the lower performing schools. So we get this confluence of kids. But what I found that is really common with everybody is that just, I think, living in the community and learning of the different things that are happening in the community, it has a mental effect on you. What I've coined it as, or someone else coined it, but I believe in it. A lot of us, even myself and many others, we suffer from urban PTSD. And kind of my anecdotal evidence to prove that is, and I'll tell you how I'm connecting this to youth ball players in a second. I just look at my young son, who's 14, soon to be 15 by the end of the year. And one thing I've noticed about my son, he is very averse to violence, right? He does not like or condone violence, you know, in many sorts. I don't think the kid has had that many fist fights in school. I don't know about him if he has. But even when we go to the store in the neighborhood, if there's too many guys in there, if there's too many noise, if somebody drops something and it has a sound, you know, that kid will be on pins and needles and he might say, Dad, I don't even want those chips. Let's just go home. And so my first and innate nature as men, right, because of the way we grow up as men and as athletes, oh, son, you know, you got to grow some, man. Be a little tough. That, you know, that's nothing. But then one day I thought about it, right? And I said, why am I telling my son to toughen up in that situation? My son is expressing to me how he's uncomfortable in a moment like that, in his own backyard, in his own community, right? Like I've never felt anything like that if I'm up walking around in Wrigleyville, hanging out with my buds after Cubs game or whatever I'm doing. Yeah, I feel great. I feel comfortable. And other places, right? I go and I can feel really comfortable. You can let your hair down, relax, enjoy yourself. But at home, it's like you're always kind of on point, you know, you're on guard. And so I really started paying attention to that in my own child, in which I know exactly the environment his mother and I and his extended family are providing him, right? So, you know, we're giving him a middle class life that is free from violence and you know, relaxing. It's about developing yourself and achievement and compassion for others. And even in all of that, this is still there, right? And this kid has not, again, been involved probably much in any situations of violence in life. So just looking at that, I started looking at it in other kids, right? And I started seeing it. And I started seeing that it was like a really disruptive factor for people, for kids, for coaches, for a little bit of everybody, man. So tying it back to youth baseball, a couple of years ago, I really started researching it, right, for myself, for what we were doing, and just going into the body of work that existed on like social emotional learning and seeing how to connect that to sports and, you know, mentoring, going a little bit deeper than with mentoring. Everybody says, you know, nonprofits that run youth certain programs, hey, we mentor, but it's never really defined. What is that mentoring? How do you measure that mentoring, right? You mentor each other. You have people that have been in your life in this industry that have mentored you, maybe unofficially or maybe informally, right? But we're talking about how do you define and measure mentorship in a formal way. So we started looking at curriculums where we could measure things with kids, right? Pre and post assessments immediately before and after the session and the content, what they're discussing. So when we started mixing all of that stuff together, we started really getting better results out of the kids in the classroom, on the field, at home. You know, they were less argumentative, right? A kid, you might say something to them or a teammate and they're ready to pop off and it's a full-blown argument. And you're like, dude, he just told you to slide. I mean, what's the problem? You ready to, you know, go throw balls? And so we started just really delving into that. And then so in that point, it was like creating and providing not only a safe space, but showing the kids, showing the family, showing the coaches and each other, hey, we got each other's back. We got. We're going to make sure that this pocket and what we're doing is a safe place, a safe haven, You know, like I said earlier when we were talking, it's our sanctuary, and nobody's coming in here and violating that. If they ain't about baseball, they ain't coming up in here. And that's one thing about baseball teams too. You know, we'll clear the dugout. So.
LaVonte, can you kind of explain to everybody out there, you know, you're talking a little bit, but Lost Boys exactly, you know,
allowed. You'll get suspended long as did for cheating.
Sorry, it's a little delayed, but LaVonte, can you tell everybody about the Lost Boys? I'm looking at you.
I think we're having some.
Can everyone hear?
All right.
Who's frozen? Who isn't? I don't feel frozen.
Go ahead. You're frozen, Danny. Go ahead, Crawley.
LaVonte,
technical difficulties, I think.
Can you tell everybody a little bit more about the Lost Boys and, you know, what you're trying with the services that you're providing these kids?
Yeah, absolutely, Crawley. So about 12 years ago, we started Lost Boys Inc. We started out just as a local baseball league, but, you know, based on some of the stuff I just talked about and just looking at need, we wanted to create something more unique. I've always believed that sports has the ability to change people and places and situations, right? So from that perspective and that vision, we set out like in our second year to really start developing something different. The first 2 years, we were like anybody. We wanted to win, we wanted to develop kids, but we wanted to develop, let's be honest, we wanted to, as they began to progress and you know, continue to make it, you could take, you know, a little pride and a little credit in what you produce. Let's be honest, right? Having an honest conversation. If not, then youth baseball wouldn't be a multi-billion-dollar industry, right? In which now we're examining travel programs and all of this stuff and etc. So taking the ego out of it and really, really being about the kids, we started losing a lot. You know, we still got some good ball players that are moving through the levels, but it was less about competition and complete development on the field and just looking at the whole athlete. So we tethered what you call OSTs, out of school time activities, like mentoring, like social emotional learning. Civic engagement is really huge, Crawley. They've got to learn about the things around them. So they're learning about politics, they're learning about labor, you know, things that have happened, things that are happening around them. And they're being involved now as they get older and they stay with us. They join park advisory councils, they join you know, school councils, community committees, all of this stuff when they're like 17, 18, 19 in our another program that we have that is a continuum of service, which was also something we developed and attached to what we were already doing. So yeah, we combine that stuff, and cultural enrichment is very huge. And hold on, guys, I hope you're still hearing me now. Mine is really going crazy here. So hold on, I'm stuck in like my camera. Okay, there I am.
You're sideways. You're like,
yeah, I know. I'm like, because I got my phone on my computer, but cultural awareness is really huge, right? So exposing kids to other cultures and not in a superficial way. We want to learn about other cultures, and then we want to take them and connect them. You know why that's important to me, guys? I went to De La Salle, right? Straight up, honest truth with all you guys. What we were taught as black boys coming from the South Side down to De La Salle when it was still an all boys institute. Don't go past Comiskey. Don't go into Bridgeport. Those are Irish boys, and they're gonna whip your ass. You go over on that other side of the viaduct. That's just the truth here, guys. We're being honest, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I'm sure children from that side of the bridge were told, don't go on the other side, east side of Comiskey, because they'll go to projects, and you know you're gonna get into it with them poor gangbanging black kids. So, you know, thankfully, we didn't really run into a lot of that stuff. I made a lot of friends at De La Salle who were Italian, Irish, Polish, you name it. Some of those guys, you know, a few of my friends I'm still in contact with from D, right? And a lot of them went on and were very successful. And I cherish those friendships. Those friendships mattered. They impacted me in a very positive way. And so I think it also contributed overall into my personal development, and my ability to move in and out of my own community and not be like trapped in the box. So that's like really important, because Chicago, we all know Chicago is one of the most segregated cities in America. 77 communities, and the majority of them are homogenous, right? And I don't have any problem with homogeny. I love the Black hood. I love coming up to white neighborhoods. I love going down to Hispanic neighborhoods. It's just about, are we accepting of one another and allowing each other to appreciate one another and have those experiences with each other? Or are we still in these mindsets of being adversarial? I mean, this is Capone's town, so we're territorial creatures by nature in everything we do, in our sports, in our work, in everything, in our friendships, our allegiances. So that's Chicago. That's what makes us different than every place else in America. So without rambling, which I do, that's kind of all of the thoughts and the ingredients. A lot of what really originated and kind of developed on with Lost Boyz really was about my own personal experience. So I always tell people, I am the chief Lost Boy. I'm the first Lost Boy, El Jefe. And it's like, I screwed up so much in life, but at some point I really got it together. And so it was sort of like to say to kids in my neighborhood, kids that looked like me, to say, no matter what's happening with you, with your brother, with your dad, with the men that you see in your life, there's hope. You can turn it around. And sports is really that outlet that allows you to do it. Sports was my escape. Everything I ever got myself into, sports got me out of. Gangs, drugs, all that, sports getting me out of it, right? Keeping me focused on my schoolwork, because I played on every sports team at the school. And then we gangbanged in the neighborhood at night. On all the way through life, man, all the way into prison, dude. I did some time in prison in Missouri, right, for that Chicago mindset and the things that I was doing with myself while in college. And so even in there, sports, dude, that's what I thought about, right? I got my focus back. They let me create a baseball program and a flag football program in the prison that I worked in. So I always kept myself busy, and I started creating developmental programs in there. So I actually started this stuff kind of early. I was like 19, 20 years old. And so I go to the library and get sociology books and all of this stuff and try to study. And I had a big class to watch around me. Everybody came from everywhere and looked like everything in there. And if you couldn't learn to get along with somebody there, man, that's the hardest place.
Well, it sounds like you had some pretty hardcore training before you came in and worked with the middle schoolers, but I'm wondering which group was harder.
The prisoners were the easiest ones, man. They didn't have nothing to do. They were excited. They're like, we could play sports other than basketball. I mean, it was interesting. The kids are way more challenging.
There is a lot of concern of the number of African Americans in baseball today, and it feels like that number keeps going down. And I see what you're doing and trying to provide kids an opportunity to play, because as travel leagues and all these other things, equipment and fields, it's about opportunity, and that's the important thing that I keep kind of noticing.
Which is why,
definitely let us know how we can help you fulfill this opportunity that you've created for these kids.
Well, I'll tell you how. You can donate now at lostboysinc.org, or you can use any of the links that I saw. Corey, you put up one today on the IVNV Facebook page. There's one on the Sun Ranto Ranters page, and it's all connected. If you want to start your own fundraiser, you can through Facebook. If you got a birthday coming up and people use that to fundraise on their birthdays, you can set it up. It's right there as a non-for-profit, lostboysinc.org. You can find them. It's totally searchable. You go to the website that I'm putting up there now. And, when I did talk to John and he talked about, what he wanted to do to help out, he wanted to do something local. He wanted to do something that uplifted the voices that needed to be uplifted in the Black community. You know, you're obviously one of those voices that needs his, I guess, amplification at this point. And, you know, we're just happy to help him do it. And I'm so happy to have met you. And what I'd like to play right now is John kind of talking about why he chose you and Black Lives Matter as his charity this year to work with. So hopefully you guys can all hear this.
Well, I mean, I think that a couple reasons why it was top of mind, but mainly all these people that have died. It gets. If I think it finally hit a tipping point with George Floyd, and I know that there's a lot of terrible things about what social media does to us, but it seems to have accelerated. Racist policy. We can talk about how. Well, I mean, I think that
I don't think people could hear, so I restarted.
Why it was top of mind, but mainly all these people that have died. It gets. If I think it finally hit a tipping point with George Floyd, and I know that there's a lot of terrible things about what social media does to us, but it seems to have accelerated the public awareness of these issues, you know, and knowing the history of Chicago and baseball in Chicago, knowing that Cap Anson would refuse to take Wrigley Field if there was a black player. That's the history of the team that I work for. And when you look around, when you look at the history of baseball, it gets really kind of sad and disgusting. And it follows and supports racist policy. We can talk about how we've devalued, you know, the best players in the history of Major League Baseball are black. Barry Bonds, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays. Chicago, Ernie Banks. And we're seeing such a low percentage of black players in the game now, lower than one would expect based on kind of demographics. But a big part of that is that, you know, we used to have real programs within the cities to support those communities. But 30 years ago, teams realized that they could go to Latin America and they could buy talent for cheaper. And so a segment of the American population kind of got cut off from access to equipment in baseball. And as a result, 30 years later, the percentages and the numbers are down. Less representation. I think there's 2 black managers. Maybe there's 1 GM or 2. I'm not sure. But the numbers are definitely skewed. And it's just unacceptable. It's not just me that's saying these things. Our organization, Theo Epstein, has said the same things. You know, it was the first time I've ever heard it. You know, we talked about the first day here of summer camp. We talked about there was 2 pandemics. The first pandemic was COVID-19. The second pandemic is systemic racism, and it's time for us to use our platform to do whatever we can about it. And this was after Danny and I had talked about me wanting to do this, but I just went to educate myself. I mean, our organization is so cool that on Juneteenth this year, I don't know what Julian Green's actual title is, but like head of PR or something. But we had a Zoom call with Jesse Jackson, and we got. To be able to have that kind of access to that person. And it was inspiring for me as a kid who, I think one of the things I've recognized personally through this experience is that the way that I grew up was charmed, right? You know, I think about something like a word like privilege really rings true for me in my life. And when I say privilege, what I mean is like, I definitely didn't get everything that I wanted as a kid, but I never worried ever once in my life as a child that I wouldn't have something that I needed. And when you grow up with that opportunity, you're blind to the rest of the things that go on. And you want to say, I grew up in California, so you want to say that you grew up, oh, I don't see race, I don't see color, but in not, you also don't see, you're also blinded to the policies and the systems that are in place that have like legitimately targeted a certain population to keep access from wealth for them. I mean, you can go back to the Federal Housing Authority and, hey, you can build these houses in the suburbs as long as you don't sell them to black people or resell them to black people. And now it's 100 years later, and you've got those houses that were $10,000 are now worth $800,000-$900,000. And it's how you build wealth and keep it within one community. And I think about the difference in Chicago between the North Side and the South Side. People like to say that it's a racial difference. It's a financial difference. And it's a problem that it's not fair. And we've always been, I think the Cubs have always benefited from the white support in this area. And we're thankful, obviously, for having fans that want to pay tickets and show up to the field even when the team's bad, like Mr. Wrigley said. You know, you build a beautiful place and serve beer and people will show up. I mean, Danny knows you guys were coming to games when we weren't going to win, you know, like when it was like literally not expected for us.
Once
to win.
Again, there's a shot that evening. Yeah.
You were trying to get back into the game when
for some reason
we were so bad. We were so bad. We're running the backup catcher out to pitch in the game and you still want to go. So we're so blessed to have that kind of support. So taking all those things into consideration and realizing that this is what I think this day has become about. You know, last year the reality I had to face in my role was working through domestic violence. That is not a place. That is not a rock that many people pick up and look underneath. And so in going through that experience, I thought, my God, what can we do to support women in Chicago that have to deal with this? And then this year, I think, again, the tipping point, and it shouldn't have been the tipping point. The tipping point should have been Trayvon Martin or something, right? But the tipping point really for me was watching that video of George Floyd and thinking like about how lucky I was to have all the privilege that I have in my life, and then saying, okay, I accept that. There's nothing I can do about the past anymore. But what I can do when I do have the opportunity is to do something positive now, so that hopefully it makes a better future. That's it. You know, we have to acknowledge where we've come from. And that's why I love this kind of 3-part idea of talking about the past, talking about what's happening now, but then promoting, spending time with and helping the people like LaVonte, who we're going to bring on, that are helping the kids in the future. That's we need to make it better for them, or we need to grease the pathway for them like it was greased for me.
All right, we're going to grease some pathways for people. We're going to grease some pathways for LaVonte. We're going to grease some pathways for hopefully for our own education. And we're going to raise some money. So please go to donate now at lostboysinc.org. And we have a couple of other ways we're trying to raise money as well. Y'all can hear me, right?
Yeah.
All right, good. Now we have at John Baker at sunranto.com/John Baker Day. We have a whole bunch of ways that we're going to raise money for LaVonte and Lost Boys this year. One of the ways is I'm doing a song-a-thon. So if you have any idea for a Cubs parody song or an original song, I'll write you an original song, no problem. Anything you want to do, $25, you donate there. You just press the pay now, and I will write you a song. We'll deal with that. I'll put it out on Twitter, put it out on YouTube, put it on Facebook. I'll be writing songs all winter long, you know, for LaVonte and the Lost Boys. And the second thing we got up there is just a donate now button. Just press the donate now, and then you can just give whatever you'd like to give. $5, $1,000, $1 million, whatever you've got in your pocket. And another thing that we're doing is I've got a Spreadshirt store with this logo on it, the John Baker Day logo, and we've slapped it on a bunch of different stuff. And I know, Michael, you bought a couple of items the other day from the John Baker Day store, and that's also at sunranto.com/John Baker Day.
Yeah, I did. Obviously, the best way to donate is to click on the donate now, give it straight to Lost Boys Inc. They really deserve your money. But if you want to have a little memento, you can hit something up like this tote bag right here. My wife loved this thing. We actually got the lime green one that does not exist anymore. Those are out. My wife got the last one, so suck it.
So surprised they only made one, I think. Lime green. Who wants a lime green tote bag? It's
I know,
ridiculous.
that's the thing. You gotta have the lime green one, so you don't misplace that thing.
There you go.
And then I got a couple of these for my boys. They'll be going to school. These are their school colors. And this is a sweatshirt drawstring bag. What I love about this is sweatshirt material, but it also has this it has a little pocket on the front, like you would have on the front of your sweatshirt, that you can throw your phone, your headphones, shit like that in. So it's pretty cool. And then hey, I'm back in Iowa now. I used to live in Colorado, and I always had a zip up hoodie because you took that thing on and off all the time. I got to remember, I'm back in Iowa. It's going to be cold all winter. You put it on, you keep it on. I got the nice hoodie here. So we are all set coming up with these, but we're also going to hit that donate link because nothing's better than a straight donate.
Yeah. Crawley, did you buy anything?
Not yet. I've been taking a look, and I've also been looking at LaVonte's shirt.
I got this one. I got this John Baker Day bandana. That's pretty cool. That's it's not going to protect you from the COVID, but it's $15 and it gives you a relative bit of protection. And this I didn't buy, but and I'm not really an apron wearer, but I'm really a fan of the John Baker Day apron. Like, come on. Can you imagine yourself out there barbecuing your John Baker Day apron? So here's the cool thing.
Yeah, just making hot dogs, right? You make your Chicago dogs. You gotta wear your John Baker Day apron.
Yeah, you could put the pickles and the mustard right there in that pouch on the front. You'll be good.
I gotta get one of those, Danny. I told you I love the grill, man. I'll be out there flipping my lobster tails and some jerk chicken with that John Baker Day apron on.
Lobster tails. Oh, I want to cook out at LaVonte's house.
Yeah, next year's John Baker Day.
Cotton, we got to make that happen, man.
Man, I'm talking dogs and you're talking lobster tails. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, next John Baker Day.
Come through. We get some lobster tails. We got to get some cold ones and just talk some baseball. Definitely.
I'm down.
Put it on your calendar, sure. down the road, guys. Once we take these dang on masks off.
Yeah,
man,
but until we do, go to Obvious Shirts and buy this John Baker Day mask, because Joe from Obvious Shirts is going to be donating as well.
We're making it easy, right? Like, donate straight to Lost Boys. Go to John Baker Day store on the sunranto.com. Go to Obvious Shirts. Do whatever. Like, we're giving you lots of opportunities.
Yeah, all you got to do is go to sunranto.com/John Baker Day. Go join all the Facebook things. I want to give everybody a preview of our conversation with Bob Kendrick from the Negro League Baseball Museum. LaVonte, Crawley, me and John talked with Bob today. I don't think there's a smarter person in the country when it comes to speaking on what the turn of the century through 1960s baseball within the Black community. And there's a rich history that not enough people in the United States know about, and Bob is the expert. So we were lucky enough to speak with him today, and that interview is going to be it's going to come out in full, as will this one. In fact, it's out right now. If you go to my YouTube channel, which is Danny Rocket with 2 T's, it's up there right now. You can hear the full conversation with John Baker and LaVonte from the other day with Corey there, except this one we kind of split up, but there you hear the whole thing. It's about an hour and 15 minutes long. You can hear our conversation with Bob Kendrick there on Sunday. And we're going to do pretty much the same thing that we did tonight with the Bob Kendrick interview. We're going to break that up. We're going to break it down. And we're going to talk about a little bit more, a lot of stuff we missed about, because Bob, there's so much to talk about. You know, it's hard to focus on everything at once. So we're going to have all that on Sunday, right after the Cubs game, which hopefully with no rain will be around 5:00. So we'll be there for you right after. Let's see what else are in my notes here. Oh yeah, well, we'll play the Bob Kendrick clip right now, and then right after that, I'm going to play the premiere of the Ballad of John Baker from the Bleacher Bum Band. It's a brand new Bleacher Jeff, who he was supposed to be in here right now, but he's probably just making fun of me outside my door because he lives downstairs right now. But,
yeah, Bleacher Jeff actually said that he would give you as much money as you need to just never say "grease the pathway" again.
Yeah. So, oh no, that's true. He did say that actually. That's exactly what he said. Never say "grease the pathway." So, but so we're gonna grease the pathway to the end of the show right about now, and we're gonna slide on out of here at about $1:15 in John Baker Day time. Happy John Baker Day, everybody! It's the day we celebrate doing something that's improbable. And, John Baker is such an awesome guy. LaVonte, you're such an awesome guy. Crowley Cotton, Corey, thank you for coming on tonight. Sorry about the technical difficulties. This is all very new technology that we are learning to master at this point. Please check out everything on Facebook, on YouTube, all that stuff. Go to LaVonte's website, lostboys.org. And here is a clip of Bob Kendrick in our conversation today. And John Baker, Ballad of John Baker.
It was the charisma, the energy, the passion, the love that he had for human beings. And I tell people all the time, guys, had the players from the Negro Leagues been bitter about the things that transpired in their lives, every one of us would have said, well, you got every right to be bitter. But to a player I've ever met, none of them harbored any bitterness. And Buck was the ringleader of this. He just had this innate ability to love everybody universally. And it just exuded such joy that it just kind of spilled over on you. I recall days when he would bop in here to the museum, and here I am now, I'm 50 years younger than Buck, and I'm getting ready to get on the elevator to come up one floor. And here comes Buck running up the stairs in his 90s. And all of a sudden you're like, well, man, I can't get on the elevator. I got to go with Buck. And so that's the way that he was. And he was a tremendous leader of men, and which is why he was such a successful manager with the Monarchs, a great coach there with the Cubs when he got that opportunity. And George Altman, who played there in Chicago with the Cubs for many years, Buck brought him over to the Cubs. And George Altman spent time in the major leagues, played in Negro Leagues, but also spent time in the major leagues, then would go on to play in Latin America, and then had a great career in Japan. And he still says today that Buck O'Neil was the best manager he ever played for. So he understood men. He knew, John, when he needed to put his arm around you, and he knew when he needed to kick you in your rump. And that's a special gift. But people ask me all the time, what do you remember most about Buck? What struck you most about Buck? And all the great stories that he shared with me that I get to share today. But the thing that I think I embrace the most is this very simple notion. You always felt better leaving Buck than you did when you came to see him.
Catcher got the win. I showed him down at Wrigley with a belly full of gin.
John Baker, the Cubs' backup catcher, took the mound in the top of the 16th inning, pitching a scoreless fray.